is women.
Good morning, and thank you so much for joining us for today's edition of the Locker Room 981. We have exciting stories in store for you. We'll make welcome the very famous Tega Nojaife, Tega Supreme. Good morning, Tega.
Good morning.
Good morning.
It's a
Good
good day for
morning, Tega.
you.
I've never heard anyone give themselves their own drum roll.
I
Oh,
know.
you see,
Only Tega.
you see people that don't know how to praise yourself. You're waiting for people to praise you. I walk around with my own, my own, what they call them, my own fan base,
Yeah.
Yes, yes.
Love it.
celebrating myself.
Yes, we love
Yeah,
it. Please
it's
send
a good
messages.
day, but it's not such a good day for some Nigerian athletes.
Yes.
And we'll be opening the phone lines for that.
I cannot wait.
That's right about now, yeah?
Yeah, just after you give them everything.
Okay. WhatsApp number is 0809 4440981.
And when we open the phone lines, here's the number to call: 0144899981. We're also streaming live on YouTube. And you know what happens on YouTube? On and off the scene, we are live. And you want to hear some exclusive gist. So please go on to youtube.com/smooth981FM Lagos.
Fantastic. Now, the Athletics Federation of Nigeria (AFN) on Thursday admitted lapses on its part over the disqualification of 10 athletes from Tokyo Olympics for not complying with out-of-competition drug testing requirements. The Athletics Integrity Unit (AIU) had announced the disqualification of the Nigerian athletes in a statement. The AFN bears responsibility for any lapses that may have occurred during the process and reassures Nigerians that our performances at the Tokyo Olympics would not be negatively impacted. All athletes resident in Nigeria and who qualified for the Olympic Games completed the 3 mandatory tests. Most of our top athletes resident in the United States also completed their tests. However, a few athletes in the American collegiate system were tested, but those tests were deemed not to have complied with the World Anti-Doping Agency sample collection and analysis standards.
Okay, so let me that statement they're giving you is
Plenty English.
glamorously inaccurate. So let me paint a picture for you so that you know the level of incompetencies people have and they are trying to shade it onto other people. So ideally, when an athlete comes, so the AIU, WADA, the Athletics Federation, they do not liaise with athletes in as much as the Athletics Federation.
Yep.
They liaise with the body in charge of those athletes. So the Athletics Federation will liaise with the Athletics Federation of Nigeria. They will not liaise with Blessing Okagbare. Now, when an athlete says they're going to compete for Nigeria, what they do is that they register with the AFN. The AFN ideally should check out the athletes, monitor the person, see their times, check their anti-doping record if they have a history, then register them, then write to the certain body, the body in charge, saying these are our athletes that will compete for us. Now that body will now send anti-doping officials out of competition. It's not just in competition now, but out of competition. Those are those random tests that some people miss sometimes that they are disqualified randomly. So you tell them, oh, I'm going to be in Sweden for a month vacationing. Then from August to September, I'll be in the USA, and these are the places I go to. Those people will pick any random day because you're not supposed to know, and come and test you out of competition. Just come, drop a cup and say, oh yeah, give us your sample, we are going. So you don't know. So that's when they can catch people like Shakari Richardson, who had taken what she wasn't supposed to take. And so those tests will be carried out. Now, because I think WADA suspected that Nigeria was one of those countries that are not really testing their athletes, Nigeria was put on a category A list. Now, a category A list country simply means that you are more susceptible to doping. Yes, so we are a high risk doping country. That's why we are on a category A list. Now, if you're on a category A list, your athletes have to submit a minimum of 3 out of competition tests. Now, again, you have to remember that if the athlete has to submit a minimum of 3 out of competition tests, again, it's not the athletes that are liaising with the body, it's the AFN. So, because the AFN, all through, for the past 2 years, have been fighting about elections. So, there are 2 factions of presidency in the AFN as we speak. They have been fighting for the past 2 years. They even did another election and and they're still fighting that, oh, we are the ones in power. This one says, no, we are not the one in power. Your election was illegal. This was election illegal. Because they've been fighting for the past 2 years, the athletes have been suffering. The only reason why the likes of Blessing Okabare, S.A. Brume, Toby Amuson had those out of competition tests is because their names have been in the system prior to now. So the bodies just went on to check. Now, most of the athletes affected are new athletes, like you heard, they're collegiate athletes. They're new athletes. So ideally, if the AFN were not doing their part also, when these athletes showed that they were going to represent Nigeria, they won't just have taken them, because again, Nigeria doesn't do any development. So once other countries have developed for you and they say they want to compete for Nigeria, they'll be like, welcome, open arms, and they don't do the necessary work. Now, because athletes showed up, the AFN had not even monitored these girls to, I mean, they've seen their timings, they know the girls, but they had not given WADA. So WADA had not done out of test competition. So at the end of the day, those girls don't have out of test competitions. It was in Tokyo, they were trying to rush one out of competition test for those girls in Tokyo just a few days before the games, and it was one. How will it count?
They didn't do their homework. Now they're passing blames.
Now they're
That's
saying
always-
our own athletes from Nigeria were tested, and our top athletes from Europe were tested. No, those ones were already in the system. You have failed these girls. And let me tell you why this is most painful. In 2016, we had a grant recipient, because that year we particularly targeted young girls, 13 and 14-year-olds. There was a girl, Ruth Usoro, who was one of our grant recipients in 2016. She eventually got a scholarship to go to the US, and then she qualified for the Olympics for long jump. So we're all very excited for her, because we've seen her progress from when she was 13. She's one of the athletes affected. Favor Philly left River State 2 years ago because she felt she wasn't developing well in Nigeria. She went to the US. She's one of their best college students also in the US. She's one of those affected. So now we are telling athletes, you are not doing anything to develop athletes. They go out to develop themselves. Then all they have to do is just register me and do the necessary details so we can compete. And here they are. So these girls have worked hard to get here by themselves. And then the whole way they passed over to the AFN. AFN fails them. And you're not telling me that their tests were not up to standard. That's not true. The only tests that they had were tests that they did in competition, because they compete in the US collegiate system, which means that they're tested all the time. Unfortunately, it's not an out of competition test. They need those because they're competing for a country in Nigeria.
That's right.
So the AFN failed them. There's no nice way to put this. There's no upside.
I hear that the AFN has come out to apologize for failing them.
No, I don't think they should apologize. Everybody that was involved should be taken out.
Yeah, they said the Minister of Sports should also be
Should
fired.
be suspended for at least 5 years. Don't touch anything athletics. All factions, plus the ones that are saying they are there, or plus the ones that are saying they are against. For me, everybody should go, especially Sunday Adeleye. But then, yes, I called your name because you are the main head nigger in charge.
I wonder why. I mean, it's so disappointing. I can't imagine how the athletes must feel. Especially, we shouldn't be messing up at such a major or national level.
You know what is even upsetting? These girls got to Tokyo.
Yes.
Tokyo before. First of all, before AFN even realized, hey, they got to Tokyo, and then they had to be told that you didn't meet up to criteria. So they didn't even know.
They were busy. Shall I AFC?
Ayo, please open the phone line
Okay,
so
the
Nigerians.
phone lines, please tell us what you think about this. 014489981. I know that athletics for Nigerians is really one of our.
And yeah, he said it
things that we
today.
do,
He said it
yeah.
today. So we had Blessing. Blessing is qualified in her heat, and also Grace Nwokocha.
Yeah. Good morning. What's your name and where are you calling from, please? All right.
014489981 is the number to call. 014489981.
981. All right. So whilst we still take your calls, so please feel free, even whilst we go on to tennis, to call about what you think of the Athletics Federation of Nigeria and the involvement in the Nigerian what's it called, delegates not being allowed or being disqualified. Sorry, I said that's a tennis. I meant F1.
Yes.
Lewis Hamilton Max Verstappen collision. Red Bull's penalty request rejected. Red Bull's request for a reassessment of the penalty given to Lewis Hamilton at the British Grand Prix has been rejected by Formula One officials. Mercedes welcomed the decision but called the appeal and the document submitted a concerted attempt by the senior management of Red Bull Racing.
Yes. So let's take that phone call.
Good morning. What's your name and where are you calling from?
Hello, Frank.
Frank Onelum.
Okay, on the athletic federation of Nigeria, it just shows gross incompetence. And it's a pity because these girls have hoped they worked for this and they were hoping to represent Nigeria. And it's such a pity because if they had tried to represent other countries, they would have been better prepared. The problem just doesn't stop the athletic federation of Nigeria.
Yes.
Every aspect of Nigerian life is nobody is looking at competence any longer. People don't bother to work because they know that every other person is the same thing.
Hmm.
It's such a pity indeed. Such a pity. Thank you very much.
Thank you,
We
Frank.
had a comment from Tajuddin Alimosho saying, Tega Supreme, are you talking about the Sunday Adelaide that used to run for Nigeria? Please, can we initiate a process to send all these people to jail?
No, not to jail, but yes, suspend them from at least
So he
everybody
was an athlete
suspended.
himself.
Oh, which is why we say, people say, let's put athletes there.
That's such a shame.
Anyway, next one.
Right, so yeah, you're talking about Lewis Hamilton and Max Verstappen.
Yes, so Lewis Hamilton and Max Verstappen. So remember, Red Bull had initiated a process to try and get Lewis a harsher punishment. And so the stewards at the Sunday Grand Prix from Silverstone were brought to Hungary to see the situation. Everybody was called, and then they said, you know what, there's no difference. Our penalties are still the same. And here's what's tricky. So from the drivers' press conference yesterday, we heard or we found out that Lewis had called Max after the race, later on in the day after the race, to just check on how he was doing and say, you know what, no hard feelings or anything. But Max doesn't care. Max is just like, you were disrespectful. You shouldn't have celebrated, because Max was still, it's just like, at least on my part, there's still respect. I know that there's no respect on this part, but there's still respect on my part. Max Verstappen was just like, I just think he was disrespectful that they were celebrating too much. They shouldn't have celebrated like that. If I were the one, I wouldn't drive somebody into the wall. I was like, no, Max, don't say that. We have videos of you,
We know
several
what you can do.
videos.
You know what you can do.
But yeah, it's going to be a heated race this weekend. Let's take some more phone calls.
Good morning. What's your name and where are you calling from, please?
Hello, good morning.
Hello. Good morning.
Oh.
Right. Please
Zero
call
one
us.
4489981. Let's go to the next story now. Novak Djokovic remains on course for a Golden Slam after ruthlessly ending the dreams of Hope K. Nishikori to cruise into the Olympic semifinals. Now, the world number one, bidding to become the first man to win all four Grand Slam titles and an Olympic gold in the same year, breezed through 6-2, 6-0. He will face Germany's Alexander Zverev in the semifinals on Friday. Switzerland's Belinda Bencic and the Czech Republic's Marketa Vodrosova will meet in Saturday's women's final.
Yes, really, really tough matchup for the women. Like I said, anything can happen there. But it was shocking. So Vandrusova took out Naomi Osaka and Elina Svitolina. So two big names. She's in the finals now. She's going to face Belinda Bencic of Switzerland, who if you're looking at her talent alone, she's an incredible tennis player. Unfortunately, she's been blighted by some injuries and some inconsistencies, but this is an opportunity for her. Regardless of what it is, she's going to medal. But she'd like to get gold. And so I've watched her play at least through the Olympics, and she's been brilliant. But again, when you think of someone that's been taking the scalps of big name players, she's looking at your scalp like you're next. So Bencic better be on her best game. In the men's tennis, though, I didn't expect much fight from Kei Nishikori. Yes, he had an excellent run up to when he faced Novak Djokovic. But the thing about people that faced each other several times, especially if they've beaten you before, they will beat you again. It was an easy walkover. Let me tell you how excellent it was. Novak Djokovic beat him earlier in the day, and then in the evening went on to play mixed doubles and has now qualified for the semis in mixed doubles. So he's on for double gold. An amazing one by him. Such as Zverev, I think, would give him something to worry about. But again, such as Zverev has also struggled with the heat, especially.
Yeah.
And that's also what took out Medvedev. Yesterday, Medvedev was knocked out, and I don't think it was because of his tennis. It was just physically he was struggling. Remember when I said I was watching him and he was wilting before my eyes?
Yeah.
Even the first half.
Yes, that's
Yes.
exactly what it was yesterday. In fact, after the match in the press conference, he was like, I almost took off my skin because that's how bad it was. You could see him suffering.
But he still won the first half.
Yeah, but he still won but he won one set, but he
Set,
was
sorry.
struggling. You could he was the one person that I saw was physically struggling, and there was no way to hide it. But there was nothing they can do. They can't change the weather for you. Sorry. so so I still think Novak Djokovic is on for double gold.
We need to take a quick break. We'll come back. We'll continue the stories and messages to WhatsApp 0809 444 0981.
When we come back, we'll take their phone calls. I didn't see you when you were doing like this.
Okay.
It was now I just looked and I saw someone was calling.
Back.
Yeah, so this is different.
Eh?
I know the heat there is different. So, he's
Yeah.
Russian, so if he's very white. So when I say very white, I'm not just talking of his color of his skin. That's the way he is. He's a pale white person. So when he was struggling, you could see him turning pink here.
Oh my God, we're coming back. We're back. All right, please bring us back.
Indeed, it's a Smooth Breakfast show here on Smooth 98.1 and the Locker Room 981 more specifically with Valentine Ohu.
And I am Myro S.
And of course, the one and only Tega Supreme Onojaife. All right, before the break, we talked about the show of shame by the AFN and how Nigerian athletes were disqualified in Tokyo for not, having not gone through the right process, procedure, and testings that they ought to have done. MI from Akoka and WhatsApp said, incompetency is one of the things we export in this country, sadly. If I were amongst the AFN Exco, I would tender my resignation honorably. Even the Minister of Sports put more effort into his gubernatorial ambition than his current job. A country that has no shame, MI from Akoka says. They have this phone call, 0144899981. Good morning, what's your name and where are you calling from?
Good morning,
AY.
AY.
Welcome.
Yeah. All right. So, my take on the behavior of the Athletic Federation of Nigeria is nothing but just disastrous. That's just what I can say by them. And it's very appalling that everything in Nigeria, when it gets to the level, it just tends to be politicized. And the main purpose of, the organization itself is to let
Yes.
just like the two elephants fight and then
The grass, yeah.
And I know how painful it is for the athlete because I was a high school athlete myself.
Oh, wow.
And I once suffered because incompetence of such almost similar nature on the local government level of the 4x100 meters racing and all that. So I know how painful it was. Go on to the state level and whatnot. So it's very disgusting and I can only just say it's just
Thank you so much for sharing that
Thank you.
first-person perspective
Yeah.
to this issue.
I
Thank you.
agree. Thanks.
Fola says, I'd like the Ministry of Sports to explore the possibilities of opportunities, if you will, of public-private partnerships in athletics in order to reduce all forms of ineptitude among officers in the federation. That's true.
That's true. We should explore it, but it will still get to a point where look, what they have to do is maybe the top person, if it was no longer a political position, maybe the top official is private sector, maybe that will be the difference. But
Yes.
as long as
There will be accountability.
as long as there is election or they are giving that position as part of political set, nah.
I want a phone call before our next story. Good morning. What's your name and where are you calling from, please?
Hello, good morning.
Yes,
Good
sir.
Good morning.
What's your name, please, and where are you calling from?
Oh,
We just wanted to hear our voice.
yes,
Thank you.
you did. All right, let's go on. Mexico. Should we get last 8 sets for battle at women's Olympic football, with the tournament heavyweights having survived a thrilling and at times bruising group stage. And knockout rounds arrive with the promise of classic combat. Canada takes on Brazil, while world champions USA take on the Netherlands. Host Japan face a tough test against Sweden, and Great Britain will seek to dominate Australia.
Yes, really tough one for the women in the finals. And I think for me the match to look out for is that USA Netherlands. Again, because the US haven't been in their best form. They changed coaches. There were questions about having picking players based on names as opposed to players based in form. For the team. So that also came up with the US national team. And at the end of the day, in group stages, they weren't convincing, and they had the misfortune of qualifying second, because that's a misfortune, because that meant that they face the Netherlands, who are European champions and have played brilliantly so far in the group stage. But again, in the group stage, some people just play to make it out of the group stage, and then they start showing their brilliance from the knockout stage. So that match, that US the Netherlands, that's the one to watch out for. But Canada Brazil is also interesting in the sense that US football is doing well. US, at least women's football, is doing well, and Canada, just their next door neighbors, have been a beneficiary of that. And then they come against a Brazil side that can just be pure magic sometimes. No discipline, which is where their problem always lies. But when they touch the ball, the brilliance, the beauty that comes out of it. So that's another one to look out for. For Great Britain, Australia, though.
Who do you think will
It's
be
like
ready now?
what Great Britain, Australia is like watching England, Scotland. It's not the most exciting football match you see, but hey, what can we say? If you ask me, advantage Great Britain, obviously.
Yeah.
But we wait to see how that pans out. Yeah.
All right. All right. Should we talk Mexico? Or should we go to Slovenia?
um, let's do Mexico.
Mexico.
Members of the Mexican women's softball team have been threatened with punishment after apparently dumping official uniforms in the trash in the Olympic Village in Tokyo.
Okay,
In their
so
words.
let me just take the story.
Yes, please.
Basically, they said, okay, so these girls came to Japan, no problems. Then they came fourth. Now you have to understand, softball is more an American. The
Sport.
countries that are good with
Yes,
it, America and
yes.
Japan. A lot of the Mexican team, though, actually played in the US. And so they thought, because of that inflow of foreign athletes, that they were going to go out and dominate. They were shocked, because even US, that usually this is their thing, they were beaten by the host nation. And so it was shocking for Mexico to even finish fourth. So apparently they dumped their gear in the trash and they walked away. So it was the other Mexican boxers. Now, if you've ever been to camp and you've seen the foreign and the home-based athletes, there's a kind of discrimination. Let me not lie. It's there. You can tell which athletes are foreign and which one are home-based. There's a way they behave. And so it was the Mexican boxer that went to report that, people were going to carry foreign players. See your uniform in the trash. And that maybe that because the girls are foreign based, that maybe they don't take the colors of Mexico seriously. So it now became a patriotism issue. So they now asked the softball girls for explanation. They said, their gear was plenty, it was too much, and they can't carry it home. I said, but you brought it.
Exactly.
How
Where
do
did
you
you find space?
exactly? How do you find space to bring it?
And
That's
how-
a space.
how
Find it now.
bulky are the clothes that you don't have
It's a
space
lot. There's headgear, there's bats. So, but that's not the issue.
Wow.
If they found space to bring it, they can find space to take it back. They just dumped it because they didn't like the
The
result.
optics are bad.
And so the optics are really bad. So of course, they are going to answer to the Ministry of Sports, because first of all, we paid money to get that outfit done. If you want to ask, as the Nigerian team, the athletes are disqualified. They are even saying that they may not give the athletes the gear that they were supposed to wear and some of the gadgets that they were supposed to give the Olympic athletes, because they are disqualified because of your incompetence. Now you will not give them all the things that came with being an Olympian, which is really sad, but we'll
Really
see how
sad.
they do it.
Chidozie on WhatsApp says, in their usual manner, the AFN has gone to Tokyo to disgrace themselves. I'm sure they knew they hadn't done their due diligence, but the Nigerian anyhowness prevailed, probably hoping they could pray it away. Complete disappointment.
They didn't know. I can almost guarantee you that they didn't know. When they got there, they're like, it's true, we need to do this, which is why they rushed to do that last minute
In
test
Tokyo.
in Tokyo, and it couldn't
Yeah.
suffice.
Yeah. Slovenia power pass Japan, Spain top Argentina. This is in basketball.
Yes, so this is in basketball. So Slovenia again, the powerhouse. They're now 2-0 in that group. Spain, of course, um defeating Argentina again. So a lot of people were discounting Nigeria's results against Argentina and US. Well, Argentina is 0 of 2 too. So it can't be that Nigeria was bad
Yeah.
or they were playing with us. Is that, yeah, they're really beaten. But looking like, of course, Spain going on to do the battle. US not looking very strong this year, but so Spain are, if you ask me, the gold medalist in contention. If they win it, whether they win it, I can't guarantee. But they're looking that this year should be the year for them to carry a 41-year-old Paul Gasol. You know that they won that
There's a
gold.
reason. Now, guidance. All right, the final story here. Guidance designed for to limit the amount of heading players or heading actually players doing training will be introduced at all levels of English football next season, and it will be announced on Wednesday. Clubs in the Premier League, Football League, Women's Super League, and all grassroots football, as well as across all sections of England setup, are set to receive the new advice designed to reduce the risk of brain injury during heading or form heading in football.
Yes, so huge one. The rules are not changing. They're not banning heading. They've only banned it in some age grade. I think under 15, under 11. They've banned that heading completely. You can't head the ball. But because of the new research that's come out with brain injury and head in and brain diseases later on in life, they're going to change some rules, not change rules, but change the way that players approach heading. So if the ball is coming to you at some close distances, they advise you not to head because of the force that is coming with. And then also the way you head the ball. Whether you should, they'll say start heading it from the side. I don't
Depending on when the score is strongest.
depending on, but I don't know what it is. But they're working on doing that for the brain because of the new research. And I think, you know what, with advancements of science and technology, we need to take all these things into cognizance. New research, new technology, new types of ways to approach it. It may, I don't know that it would change the game completely, because if you ask me, if you take away Lionel Messi's header against Manchester United in the UEFA Champions League final, because if a 5'7" Lionel Messi can out jump a 6'3" Rio Ferdinand to score a header, that's brilliant to watch. However, is that worth a brain injury later down the line? No. So yes, if you take away heading, it will affect something, because I'm like, head the ball now. Why didn't you use his head? But with research that's come out, there are things that heading can do that cause damage further down the line. So if they've seen a better way to approach playing the game, without necessarily distorting or changing the fundamentals of the rules, then fine, they should go ahead. But this is UK based, though it hasn't yet gone global. But you know how they'll say it, football is coming home. If modern football started in the United Kingdom, so it's our match that is coming back. But yeah, it's just something they're trying out and they're testing out here, and they're still discussing, and maybe they will see how they can export it if it eventually works. But yes, there's a lot of things in sports that they're going to change. I don't know if they can sell this to boxing and UFC though, because that's the beginning and end of boxing. Because if you don't know, that's it.
I'm anti-boxing.
Yeah, so that means nobody,
Yeah.
you won't have any knockouts again. So what's boxing without the anticipation of a
That's
knockout?
the height of knockout in the game. Knockout.
Look, I can't watch. I struggle with UFC because that is literally
Contact
blood
sport.
sport. No, it's not. It's blood sport. It's literally blood sport. If I described it to you, Ayo, you would close your ears and run, because for once in my life, I said I had to support Nigeria, watch Usman, and I saw it, because you have to finish the guy, and when they say finish the guy, they mean it literally. It's not a metaphorical
Finish
speech.
him off so it doesn't
So
matter.
yeah, he finished him off. So this guy is in boxing. They won't allow that in boxing. This guy is on the floor and you're pounding his head. In boxing, you've knocked him down. They will hold you back and count 8. UFC, they will leave you to finish him for a few minutes before the referee now comes to even carry away. I'm like, why?
That's disgusting.
That's just bad. I kid you not. So I tell people all the time that if there's a guy in UFC called Habib from Russia, I say if I were walking into church and I saw Habib walk towards me, I will run out because I am afraid of Habib.
How about
And I hear he's gentle. Oh.
Conor McGregor?
No, that was just making noise. That's like that. It's like those Agbero on the street. When you give them one blow, it's over. He's a braggart as far as
He
just one blow.
he just bought a super yacht. So, I mean,
Yeah, I mean he was a good fighter at some point,
yeah.
but now he's just a braggart. But Habib, oh, beast mode. So if I saw that guy, I'd be afraid of him. So yes, blood sports.
On that note, please avoid any sort of violence this weekend and
Yes.
make the best of the day.
Watch the heats have started. Blessing ran this morning. She's qualified, I think, for the semis. So has Grace Wokocha. Grace's time was actually better than Blessing's time, but Blessing won her heat and it's not time based. So let's see how it goes. I think Blessing will improve because I think she just did enough to qualify. But when it comes to the finals and the semifinals, she's going to show her real pace. So you can watch athletics this weekend. You can also watch F1 this weekend. You can watch basketball at 9. Well, Nigeria is taking on France, the women's basketball team, right about now. So you can tune in to catch up with the women. But watch sports, play sports safely,
Yes.
and don't get into
Definitely.
violence.
We'll be back to give you the updates on Monday.
Yes,
Yeah.
we will.
Tega is at Tega Supreme on all socials and follow her work with the ladies in sport at LIS International. The website's www.ladiesinsport.com. It's Ayamira Ese
And Valentine Ogu.
on Smith's Breakfast.
98 point. Thank you.